Hello and welcome to this review of a new accessory product from Aputure. This is it. It's called the Easy Frost diffuser, and as the name implies, it is a diffusion sheet which goes over their quite popular AL528 and AL672 lights. So let me start off by showing you what you get in the box. This is not the most attractive box I've ever seen, but this is a prototype, so I assume the ones they actually send out to retail customers will be more attractively packaged. So inside, first of all, you get this little carrying bag to put all the bits in once you've got rid of the packaging. A very simple instruction booklet which kind of tells you how to assemble it, written in microscopic type as usual. This is the actual diffuser itself, which, as you can see, is about so big and made of some sort of plasticky, fabricy material, and it's got these little elasticated corners, and you'll see how we use those in a second. Four then of these plastic struts, I suppose you'd call them, with a hook on the end here which goes into those corners that we just mentioned. Now these look very flimsy, but actually they're fairly sturdy. The plastic is reasonably thick. I think you could break them if you obviously tried to snap them, so they probably won't take too much wear, but I think they'll be okay provided you're conscious of the fact that they are plastic. Four of those, and then two of these end bits which are, I presume, aluminium, something like that. And what you do is that goes onto the side of your Aputure light and just screws in. There is already a thread on the side of the light, of course, for putting it onto a stand, and this will go onto that, screw in, and then these bits go into the holes there and effectively protrude out over the front of the light, and then you strap the diffuser on, and there you go, one diffused light. Just one thing to note, by the way, when putting these on, these holes are actually out at an angle. They're not straight in on the bracket, they're out that way and out that way, so when you slide them in you have to just be aware of that, and you can see it's upright that way and slightly away. It'll make more sense when I show you me assembling it, which I will do now. So putting it all together then, you can see I've got here an AL528 light, and there's the thread on the side, another one there as I mentioned. Now these little end pieces that screw on, you can see also they've got tiny little guide plastic sticky out bits here that go into the air vents on the Aputure light, and then also they are sculpted. There's a little sticky up bit at the back here which sits nicely over the back of the light, so that just goes on there and screws on, hopefully. Yep, there we go. Just make sure you don't catch those bits. It needs to sit like that, so it's sort of flush on both sides like that. And then the other one, same again really on this side. Pop it in. Okay, now you've got those mounting points ready. These poles go in. Now, as I mentioned, they do go in at a slight angle, and they just press in and press down. Sometimes they don't quite want to go in, but they will if you give them a little gentle encouragement. Come on. That's that one. Same again this side, in that way, and in that way. And then you hook the diffuser over with those little elasticated corner bits. Now it can start to fight with you at this point, just because obviously you're putting tension into it, but just be firm and hook those corners over. Come on. And there is your diffuser, and you can see there's a good amount of space between the light and the diffuser, which actually gives the light a bit of a chance to come out before it gets diffused, compared with the slot-in one you get as standard with these lights that is just a sheet, an opaque sheet that literally sits next to the LEDs and frankly does very little, it seems to me, in terms of diffusion. Okay, so much for the practicalities. What's it like in use? Here are some tests. So conclusions then on the Aputure Easy Frost. Well, it's certainly compact, lightweight, easy to take around, pretty easy to set up, and it does diffuse more than the standard included opaque perspex sheet that you get with the Aputure lights. So from that respect, yes, probably worth having. My only query might be, I suppose, possibly longevity. I can imagine you might snap some of those bits off, possibly. And also, the other question is price. At the time of filming this, I've only seen it listed on one seller on Amazon UK, and they were quoting an RRP of £50, but yours, they said today, for 25. Well, I wouldn't pay 50 quid for it, and frankly, 25 is pushing it a bit. Perhaps 10, 15 I would have thought was more reasonable. Okay, we all know that photography bits and pieces are not cheap. So I think it does a reasonable job, but bear in mind that it's still only what's so big. You're not going to get that really soft diffuse light that you get off a proper massive photography softbox. But for what it is, I think it does a reasonable job. You could see in the test shots of the box that the light was definitely softer with the Easy Frost diffuser. It was less obvious, I think, looking at the shots of me when the light was on, but it clearly was having a difference. So, to sum up, I think if you can get the Easy Frost at a sensible price, and of course you'll probably want one for each of your Aputure lights, so you know the price could mount up. If you can find them at a sensible price, I would say it's a worthwhile bit of kit to have in your arsenal. If people are going to be asking silly money for it, well, you can probably make yourself up some diffuser that'll work at least half as well for a cheaper price. So there you go, scout around for a bargain, and if you can get it, then it's probably worth having. Thank you very much for watching. I hope the review was useful. If it was, click on the old like button. Any comments or questions, drop them down below. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.